I had made a previous video on USB flash or USB Wi-Fi adapters that were fake that I bought directly from sellers in China. But and then I kind of addressed USB devices and how a lot of sellers actually sell fake USB adapters on eBay and Amazon and so forth. So I came across an auction or listing on eBay that actually had I don't know what this is I don't know how to pronounce it, eight mints. It's supposed to be a 1.5 terabyte external hard drive, but in theory it's really supposed to be a SSD drive. And as you'll see later, it is actually supposed to specify itself as being 15 terabytes rather than 1.5. So I decided to purchase a couple of these, knowing that they really were probably, obviously, most likely fake. And the description is large capacity, 1.5 terabyte storage space, enough for most daily uses. Your moving database, I guess, the thing is that lightweight, ultra slim external hard drive. They refer to it as a hard drive, and something that actually can be used in Windows, Macs, and all kinds of computer systems. But I got them, and here's actually some pictures of the actual devices. The two devices, this here and this, are actually my usable NVMe external USB device. So basically, you plug in an NVMe drive into this, and then basically you can insert it into the USB thing, and you can see this is USB-C. And it actually works pretty good. And obviously, this device on the very right is actually one of the ones I got. It seems that there's not very many differences between the two, except this device is actually a little bit taller. I think it's the same material except on the ends. I think basically there's plastic on the end, and I did try to see if I could remove it, but there's no screws or anything like that. There's just one little tiny hole in there that's kind of like a pin slot on a cell phone to remove your SIM card. But that you can't do anything with it by putting something in that hole. And so I tried to use a razor thing to try to take the end off, but that didn't work. But I decided to quit trying to do that because I was going to just return them anyway. So I'll just show you the other picture. Basically, this is the other side of my device that actually works. The NVMe drive device, and the same other device that I purchased on eBay. So let's see here. I show you the purchase, and so I guess I'll just show you that after. And so, what I actually did is I got got them obviously, and then I plugged them in. And since like I mentioned before, I'm actually a Linux user. One of them I already messed up. The other one is actually I didn't do anything to it, and so you can see that it registers as being 15.26 terabytes, which I think is equivalent to, in theory, being a 17 terabyte device. But there's no such thing in current you know, for sale by any reputable manufacturer. I think you know the biggest SSD drive right now is only 15 gigabytes, and so you know it wouldn't be 15.26 terabytes. You know when you load it in G-parted, it would be something less than that because obviously, you know. The total size of the you know the specified for the device is usually obviously you know a few terabytes less than you know the actual size of the thing. So essentially, when I plugged it in, and then you know refreshed it to see you know obviously get this message first. You know the backup GPT table is corrupt, but the primary appears to be okay, so that will be used. And so then, you know, with the other device, I went ahead and I just basically, you know, I don't know if I deleted it or just basically, I don't need to, you know, I think what I did is I actually, you know, in G-parted, you can just basically delete all the partitions, and then you know in theory I'm supposed to be able to I could just set up another one you know with you know a Linux compatible ext4 partition rather than the X you know the what was it exafat that it actually had on it, but if I go ahead and actually try to process this, all of a sudden, you know, the device is not going to be like you want it. So I'm actually not going to do that, but I'm going to plug in the other one that I actually messed with and show you what that actually shows after. So I plugged it into the USB adapter, and then now I can go ahead and refresh the device. So this is actually, you know, still on the Dev SDC, which was, you know, the formerly the 15 terabyte, and now I realize that, you know, they probably only have a. You'll see. I'll show you the pictures of it, but basically the hardware that's used inside of that adapter is actually, you know, just basically a card with a USB flash drive on it, and that flash drive in this particular instance is probably only 8. You know, it says it's 8 megabytes in size. So they actually used a little teeny flash drive that doesn't have almost no space on it whatsoever, and made it look like it was actually 15 terabytes. So, you know, if I try to do anything with this, it says basically the partition table is not found. So then I can basically, you know, do as I would normally do if I got a, you know, a new hard disk. You know, it's not going to have a partition table on it, so I just have to create it in G-parted. So I just go in here and I'm going to choose GPT and choose apply, and it's you know it looks like it actually created it. So in theory, you know, if the GPT partition table has been created, then now I should be able to just basically choose new, and you know just basically create a file system, you know, which, like I say, would be ext4, but you can obviously see that I get this no partition table is found again, even though I actually did go through the process of trying to create it. But so you can see that basically this, after I tried to you know partition this, you know, basically it showed its true nature as being, you know, just a cheap USB drive inside of a enclosure that you can't open because it doesn't have any screws on either end, and it's just glued you know, the ends are glued on. So, you know, but anyway, so then that's that. And the other thing I can actually do is basically look at the USB devices that are actually attached to my computer right now. And you'll see that this is actually the one that actually is that device. And you can see that, you know, this isn't really important, but it's Hasing Electronics USB 2.0 disc. And obviously, you know, the the device is actually a USB-C is obviously supposed to be, you know, USB 3.1 and not USB 2. But, you know, obviously the USB drive that's attached to a card inside of that device is actually only USB 2 and only, you know, in theory 8 megabytes. Not even 8 gigabytes, 8 megabytes. So, you know, it might be reading that wrong, but the thing is that obviously it's, you know, it's pretty clear that the, you know, the hardware or, you know, the media inside of it is pretty much, you know, fake. And, you know, it isn't actually obviously, you know, 15 terabytes to begin with, because, or 17 terabytes. It is only, you know, a small USB 2.0 flash drive on a card. So anyway, to kind of show you what those actually look like, because I'm not going to be actually, you know, attempting to try to take them apart. So here's what it probably is going to look like inside there. You can see this is actually the USB-C, and, you know, this card would actually go into the inside of the enclosure, and you can see that this is actually a USB flash drive, you know, and I don't know, you know, I can't say what this one is, but actually the one that is in the, you know, the device that I actually have, this is actually a USB 2.0 8 megabyte USB drive. And so, you know, there's another picture there. Basically, this is a little bit different. You know, still this is the USB drive plugged into the thing, USB 3.0. There was some cellophane, you know, glued on wrapper that actually, you know, held everything in place. And you can see that he took it out of this device, which is red, where the one I have is actually black. But it's pretty much the same thing. They just, you know, the Chinese vendors actually, you know, just go about to their scam just a little bit different than each other. So, one last picture here. You know, the same, he actually took the USB drive out of the drive slot, and I think, I don't remember what, you know, the person did in here, but actually, you know, mine was actually just in a plastic wrapper because it was, you know, probably a return, and the, you know, this the U.S. vendor that I actually purchased from probably just bought those in bulk and labeled as 1.5 terabytes, and, you know, just, you know, sold them for like $19.95, and you know, still has a few of them left, but obviously this one is just in a, you know, same junk, but in a, you know, in a kind of fancy box. So anyway, I guess we'll just kind of go through that. The whole theory is I don't have any idea of how they actually, you know, make you know, very small USB flash drive look like it is actually a, you know, 17 terabyte device. I'm going to plug the other one back in again and kind of show you that, you know, how it would actually show up on my system. Okay, so let's see if I can actually see it here. Yeah, see, so this one right here, it shows up as, you know, like I say, 17 terabyte volume. And, you know, start copying stuff over to it. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be copying a minimum or a maximum of the total size of the the drive, which is really only 8 megabytes. So, after the first 8 megabytes are copied to the drive, everything else is actually going to just overwrite, the first, or the initial 8 megabytes. So, there's only going to be, when everything, all the copying is going to be done, it'll only be the last 8 megabytes that are actually on the disk and readable. And so, if the file you're actually copying is larger than 8 megabytes, then, it'll be corrupted and not readable, because obviously, it didn't write the entire file, because obviously, you can't write a 32 megabyte or even a 1 gigabyte file to 8 megabytes of space and expect it to be usable. So anyway, that's what it actually looks like. It does show up on my thing here. It does load. It looks like it would be perfectly fine as a to use in Windows, but it's basically just it's fake, and everything that's copied to it is actually just going to be corrupt data. And so and there, like I said, that it's 17 terabytes, and like I say, I think I looked on eBay, and the largest SSD currently available is only 15 terabytes. So if you actually see somebody selling a external USB SSD drive that's like anything larger than 15 terabytes, like 30 terabytes or something like that, you're probably going to get something. Maybe he has a larger USB drive in it, or might even use a micro SD, like some of the other videos show that just basically a large or a wider enclosure with a card inside of it that's has a micro SD slot on it, and then basically a whatever like 8 gigabyte or something like that micro SD on it. But it's pretty much the same concept. They're just all fake junk. They sell them cheap, but you're not getting anything of value. Even though if in theory I could actually remove the the contents of this, I could actually possibly use the enclosure for my other device, but I don't think there's there'd be ever any need to have a replacement for the enclosure that I have, because I'd probably have to step on it or drive over, or hit it with pound on it with a hammer to actually damage it. So anyway, I guess this is the end of the video, and I appreciate your watching, and hope to see you again soon.